In an ancient Greek kingdom, 3 enchanting princesses lived under the watchful eyes of the people. The youngest, Psyche, was not only beautiful, she was described as a divine vision. Her beauty was so enchanting and pure that it seemed to have been blessed by the gods themselves. But beyond her appearance, Psyche stood out for her humility and kind heart. Unlike her sisters, who sought powerful husbands filled with wealth, Psyche dreamed of true love, one that went beyond appearances and elevated her spirit. Her fame grew. It didn't take long for visitors from distant regions to arrive in the kingdom to behold her beauty. Soon, neighboring cities also spoke of her almost celestial presence. Men and women from all over the realm began to revere her as if she were a living goddess. The effect of this devotion was so intense that even the temples of Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty herself, began to be abandoned. The offerings and prayers that once belonged to Aphrodite were now dedicated to Psyche. Everywhere, people praised her beauty and shared stories about her. But this diverted adoration did not go unnoticed on Mount Olympus. Aphrodite, enraged by the neglect of her devotees and feeling her own status threatened, decided that she needed to restore balance and put Psyche in her rightful place. Watching from her throne, the goddess devised a plan to destroy the young mortal who dared to attract the attention of her worshippers. With this dark plan, Psyche's fate was sealed. Feeling betrayed and offended by the mortal's adoration of Psyche, Aphrodite decided that a lesson must be taught. To do this, she summoned her son Eros, the god of love, known for making mortals fall in love with a mere touch of his arrows. Aphrodite ordered him to use his powers to make Psyche fall in love with the most horrendous and feared creature he could find. Eros, always obedient to his mother, set off with the intention of fulfilling his mission. However, upon encountering Psyche, he was mesmerized by her beauty. She was even more enchanting than the descriptions reaching the gods, and her presence radiated a light that unsettled him. Against his will, he accidentally pricked himself with one of his own arrows, causing him to fall hopelessly in love with Psyche herself. Instead of fulfilling Aphrodite's plan, Eros decided to hide from his mother and prevent any mortal from approaching Psyche, keeping her isolated from potential suitors. He visited Psyche secretly, driven by the desire to protect her and by the love he felt, but remained invisible, fearing Aphrodite's wrath. Thus, Psyche remained without suitors, in a solitude that no one understood. Men admired her beauty from afar but never approached her, as if an invisible force kept them away. As time passed, Psyche's family grew concerned about her solitude and lack of suitors, and the king, her father, decided to seek an answer. He went to the Oracle of Delphi in search of clarification about his daughter's fate, unaware that he was about to hear a terrifying prophecy. Psyche, despite her beauty and virtues, continued to live in an incomprehensible solitude. No suitor dared to approach her, and though people revered her, the emptiness in her heart only grew. Her sisters were already married, but for Psyche, life seemed like a cruel riddle, where her beauty repelled rather than attracted the love she so deeply desired. Worried about his daughter's future, the king decided to consult the Oracle of Delphi. Kneeling before the prophetess and pleading for answers, he hoped to hear good news. However, the prophecy was terrifying and disconcerting. Psyche was not destined to marry a mere mortal. She would unite with a winged being, an entity feared even by the gods, someone described as a horrendous monster who awaited her. The king, overcome with sadness and fear, returned to the kingdom, knowing his daughter was destined for a dark fate. Despite his broken heart, he understood he must follow the prophecy's instructions. With Psyche's reluctant consent, he arranged a bridal procession to a secluded cliff, where she would be left to meet her monstrous fate. Psyche accepted her fate with courage, though frightened and heavy-hearted. Dressed as a bride, she walked toward the cliff, surrounded by her sisters and the people, all weeping for her. As she looked to the sky and felt the wind around her, Psyche closed her eyes, preparing to meet her uncertain future in a sacrifice that seemed to be her final destiny. Psyche was ready for her dark fate, abandoned on the cliff, feeling the cold breeze on her face and hearing the unsettling silence around her. She braced herself to meet the horrendous monster the oracle had foretold as her husband. Yet, instead of fear, her heart was filled with a strange sense of peace and acceptance. Suddenly, a gentle breeze began to envelop her, and she felt her body lifted from the ground. It was Zephyrus, the west wind, who, under Eros' command, came to rescue her. Zephyrus carried her lightly through the skies, taking her far from the cliff and fear, bringing her to a mysterious place, hidden from mortal sight. Psyche was being taken to her new home, but unlike what she had expected, this place was indescribably beautiful. When she finally landed, Psyche found herself before a magnificent palace, so luxurious it seemed like a divine dwelling. The facade gleamed in the sunlight, and the sound of waters nearby provided an atmosphere of serenity. As she crossed the doors, Psyche was greeted by kind, invisible voices who introduced themselves as her new servants. They attended to her every need, offering her banquets and comforts surpassing any human luxury. She was dazzled, but uncertainty remained. Who had brought her here, and why? Though surrounded by care, she still did not know the identity of her mysterious rescuer and husband. That night, he finally came to her, but cloaked in shadows, remaining invisible and assuring her that as long as she respected the mystery of his identity, she could live in peace and happiness. Psyche, now living in a dreamlike palace, received care and luxuries beyond anything she had ever experienced. The invisible servants were always at her disposal, making each day full of delights and pleasures. At night, her mysterious husband visited her, always cloaked in darkness, speaking to her tenderly and treating her with unusual kindness. Though she never saw him, Psyche began to fall deeply in love with him, enchanted by his gentle nature and affectionate presence. Yet, despite the happiness she had found, Psyche felt a growing emptiness, the longing for her family. She yearned to see her sisters again and share with them the love and luxury of her new life. Noticing her sadness, her husband allowed her to receive visits from her sisters but gave her a warning. They might try to lead her heart astray from the path of trust. When Psyche's sisters finally arrived at the palace, they were astonished by the riches and comfort she enjoyed. The feasts, the jewels, and the palace itself seemed straight out of a tale of the gods. Consumed by jealousy and curiosity, the sisters began planting seeds of doubt in Psyche's heart, suggesting that her husband might be a monstrous creature deceiving her under the cover of darkness. These words left Psyche unsettled. Although she loved her husband and respected his request to remain in the shadows, doubt began to grow in her heart. She wondered if there was more she needed to know, if the mystery hid something dangerous. Unable to resist her curiosity, Psyche decided she needed to see her beloved's face, even if it meant risking everything. After days of uncertainty, Psyche decided to give in to her curiosity. On a silent night, while her husband slept, she lit a small oil lamp and, with trembling hands, approached to see the face of the mysterious man she lay with each night. As she illuminated his face, Psyche saw something unexpected. It was Eros himself, the god of love, before her in all his divine beauty. Psyche was paralyzed, dazzled by his perfection and all he represented. But in a careless moment, a drop of hot oil fell from the lamp, waking Eros. Realizing what Psyche had done, he drew back, feeling betrayed by her breach of trust. The pain of her mistrust struck him deeply. "I warned you to trust me and accept the mystery of my identity. Now, our bond is broken," he said, sadness and disillusionment in his eyes. Before Psyche could beg for forgiveness or explain, Eros disappeared, leaving her alone and desolate. Feeling betrayed by her own actions and devastated by her curiosity, Psyche realized the weight of what she had done. She had lost the love she had so longed for, and her luxurious life in the palace vanished along with Eros. As she wept, Psyche felt her heart break, knowing it was her own mistrust that had destroyed everything she held most dear. Determined to regain her love and prove her remorse, she resolved not to give up on Eros. Psyche would gather all her strength and, from that moment on, devote her life to winning him back, even if it meant facing unimaginable trials. After Eros's departure, Psyche was left in complete desolation. Without her palace and her love, she found herself alone and lost, but determined to prove her remorse. Driven by the strength of her love, Psyche resolved that she would not rest until she found a way to redeem herself and win back Eros. In her quest, she began to wander through the temples of the gods, pleading for help and guidance. At the temple of Demeter, she received advice. If she wished to redeem herself and have a chance of reuniting with Eros, she would have to face a series of trials imposed by Aphrodite. With courage, Psyche accepted the challenge, even knowing that Aphrodite would not welcome her kindly. Upon learning that Psyche sought Eros, Aphrodite greeted her with disdain and assigned her nearly impossible tasks, each more challenging and perilous than the last. Psyche, with her unwavering heart, accepted each trial, facing danger and hardship in the name of the love she felt. With each test, she displayed not only courage but also the resilience and strength of her feelings for Eros. This unshakable dedication did not go unnoticed by the gods, and over time, her courage and perseverance began to inspire even the inhabitants of Olympus. With each step, Psyche proved that her love for Eros was pure and true, overcoming barriers imposed even by the gods themselves. The story of Eros and Psyche teaches us that true love can withstand the greatest challenges. Although curiosity and doubt initially broke their trust, Psyche showed that perseverance and sincere repentance can overcome even the hardest trials. Her love for Eros guided her through dangers and hardships, and, in the end, her determined heart inspired even the gods. This legend reminds us of the importance of trust and faith in relationships, showing that true love does not shy away from sacrifice and seeks to renew itself continuously. It's a story that reveals how the power of love can defy destiny itself. If you enjoyed this epic tale of love and resilience, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your suggestions. Would you like to see more stories like this one? Drop your ideas below and help us create more fascinating content for you.